Welcome to Blackscreen Briefings. Tonight, for cases from the United Kingdom that demonstrate how violence travels, from a Tinder date in York to a torture chamber in Manchester, from a 10-second blade slash in a London bar to an unmarked grave outside Glasgow. These are not cold cases. 3 have reached conviction. 1 reached a shallow grave, and a suspect who died before trial. What connects them is method, the planning, the patience, the belief that control over death equals power over life. This is the United Kingdom's most disturbing recent murder cases and the systems that process them. Kilburn Drive in Shevington, Wigan, November 24, 2022, 6:30 p.m. A Thursday evening indistinguishable from any other until a neighbor noticed a shape at the bottom of a driveway. Emergency services arrived to find 38-year-old Liam Smith, shot in the face, covered in sulfuric acid and soda crystals, the chemical residue still active, the body in degradation. The scene required hazmat protocols. The victim required dental records. The investigation required understanding how a man with no criminal history, no known enemies, a father of 2 who ran an electrical contracting business, could end his life as forensic evidence dissolving on concrete. Liam Smith had served in the military. His sister Gemma described him as her rock. His mother Julia would later tell the court that the phone call announcing his disappearance still haunts her, that she found the white tent covering her son's body after 24 hours of searching, that no future milestone would arrive without the absence of his presence. The victim impact statement read at Manchester's Minchell Street Crown Court in August 2023 did not request vengeance. It described vacuum. The investigation began with absence. No witnesses to the shooting. No immediate motive. The chemical application suggested not merely concealment but punishment, an attempt to unmake the person after ending the life. Then detectives found the connection. In 2019, Liam Smith had met Rachel Fulstow on Tinder. 1 date, dinner, drinks, a hotel room. Fulstow later claimed the encounter was non-consensual but did not report it as rape. She had lunch with Smith the following day. The matter appeared closed. It was not closed. In 2021, Fulstow entered a relationship with Michael Hillier, a 39-year-old drug dealer from Sheffield who operated with burner phones, cloned plates, and the confidence of someone who had learned to make evidence disappear. Hillier was volatile, controlling, and, according to Fulstow's trial testimony, obsessively jealous. When she told him about the 2019 encounter with Smith, Hillier constructed a narrative of violation requiring retribution. Whether this motivation was genuine moral outrage, possessive rage, or simply opportunity remains unclear. What is documented is the preparation. Beginning in May 2022, 6 months before the murder, Hillier and Fulstow began planning. Fulstow researched Smith's business, LPS Electrical and Build Limited. She searched what is premeditated and how long does it take for a car to burn completely. She checked weather forecasts for Wigan. She researched Mitsubishi Shogun vehicles, the same model Hillier would use, fitted with cloned registration plates reading R22 ORA. Hillier sourced blank-firing handguns and modified them to fire live ammunition. He practiced in his Sheffield cellar. He purchased sulfuric acid and soda crystals. He prepared high-visibility work clothing to appear as a laborer. On November 2, 2022, Hillier conducted hostile reconnaissance. He parked near Smith's home for 10 hours, watching. On November 24th, he returned. The execution required patience. Hillier waited from morning until evening, positioned to observe. At approximately 6:30 p.m., wearing a head torch and high-vis jacket, he approached Smith's door. The ruse was a work-related inquiry. Smith stepped outside. Hillier shot him in the face at close range. The wound was fatal, but not immediately so. Hillier retrieved chemicals from his vehicle. He poured them over Smith's body. He drove away, later burning the Mitsubishi Shogun to destroy forensic traces. Fulstow's role was informational and logistical. She provided Smith's address, his routines, his vulnerability. Following the murder, the couple flew to Jamaica for a 2-week holiday. Photographs recovered by investigators show them riding horses in the sea, smiling. They were arrested upon return to the UK in January 2023. The trial lasted 6 weeks. Hillier admitted manslaughter but denied murder, claiming vigilante justice for Fulstow's alleged rape. Fulstow denied involvement. claiming ignorance of the attack until Hillier confessed afterward. The jury convicted both of murder. Hillier received life with a minimum of 33 years. Fulstow received life with a minimum of 30 years. The judge described the crime as brutal and cold-blooded. The chemicals, the burning of the vehicle, the holiday. Each element demonstrated not passion but calculation. Mossley, Greater Manchester. July 3, 2022. 10:30 a.m. A neighbor noticed Thomas Campbell's front door ajar. Blood in the hallway. Campbell's body inside, bound with duct tape, wound multiple times around his wrists, naked except for socks, bearing 61 separate injuries, including facial mutilation and boiling water burns to his genitals. The assault had lasted approximately 2 hours. The victim, 38, was a father of 2. His estranged wife had provided the key intelligence to his killers. Thomas and Colleen Campbell had built a facade of legitimate success. Designer clothing, luxury vehicles, a £10,000 holiday to Cancun, funded by money laundering for drug operations between 2012 and 2016. Both were convicted of concealing criminal property. Thomas served 2 years in prison. Upon release, the marriage ended. Colleen retained the house. Thomas formed a new relationship with Demi-Lee Driver. This relationship became the catalyst. Demi-Lee Driver was previously involved with John Belfield, 31, a wholesale drug dealer earning approximately £2,000 weekly through cannabis and cocaine distribution. Belfield did not accept the separation. He contacted Colleen Campbell through Instagram in June 2022, 68 messages and 35 calls over days. Colleen, resentful of Thomas's infidelity and new relationship, provided detailed intelligence: his vehicle, his address, his schedules. A GPS tracker was placed on his van as he collected his daughter from school on June 27. Surveillance was conducted. A dress rehearsal was performed on June 30th, but aborted. On July 2, 2022, at 11:06 p.m., 3 men entered Campbell's home. Reese Stephen, 29, Belfield's right-hand man. An unidentified third attacker. Belfield himself, according to prosecutors, though he would claim alibi. They were admitted or gained entry without force. Campbell was restrained, stripped, and tortured over 2 hours. The duct tape matched a roll purchased from B&Q in Oldham. The boiling water was poured deliberately. The facial injuries were inflicted with precision. Nothing of value was stolen. The objective was not robbery but dominance, punishment, and elimination. Belfield fled to Suriname, South America, within days, a country with no prior connection to him, selected for extradition difficulty. He was arrested there in 2023, deported in 2024, and tried at Manchester Crown Court in June-July 2025. His defense included the claim that he was watching Finding Nemo with his daughter during the murder. The jury convicted him of murder and conspiracy to rob. On July 4, 2025, he was sentenced to life with a minimum of 34.5 years. The judge noted the sadistic conduct and very significant mental and physical suffering inflicted on Campbell. Colleen Campbell was tried in 2023 in Belfield's absence. She was convicted of manslaughter and conspiracy to rob, sentenced to 13 years with 2/3 minimum before parole eligibility. The judge described her as having set the ball rolling. Reese Stephen received life with 37 years minimum for murder. Stephen Cloworth, 38, who planted the tracker but was not present during the torture, received 12 years for manslaughter and conspiracy. The unidentified third attacker has never been charged. R.E. Barr, Hillingdon, West London. October 11, 2015. 1:10 a.m. Josh Hansen, 21, a roads planner for the local council, stood near a wall speaking with friends and his girlfriend. Shane O'Brien, 27, approached from across the room. They exchanged brief words, seconds only. O'Brien reached into his Canada Goose jacket, withdrew a Stanley-type knife, and slashed Hansen's neck and chest in a single motion. The wound measured 37 centimeters, beginning behind the ear, cutting diagonally downward. Hansen collapsed. An off-duty nurse attempted intervention. Paramedics pronounced death at the scene. O'Brien walked out through the main door. CCTV captured his calm exit. The 2 men had no prior relationship. The conversation, according to witnesses, appeared heated but not extraordinary. O'Brien had links to organized crime, a daughter, and a history of low visibility maintained through careful operational security. He did not run from the bar. He walked. Then he ran from the country. Within 48 hours, O'Brien traveled from London to Kent, then to Biggin Hill Airport, where he boarded a privately chartered jet to the Netherlands using false documentation. He moved through Europe for over 3 years: Germany, France, Prague, Dubai. He was supported by organized crime networks providing safe houses, burner phones, and high-quality false identities. In February 2017, he was arrested in Prague under the alias Enzo Melancelli, carrying a new back tattoo, an owl clutching a skull designed to cover identifying marks. Czech authorities released him on bail before his true identity was confirmed. He disappeared again. Josh Hansen's mother, Tracy, and sister, Brooke, refused silence. They printed thousands of wanted posters, laminated them personally, mailed them across Europe. They maintained social media campaigns. On the 3rd anniversary of the murder, they completed a skydive to raise awareness. Tracy walked London streets wearing a sandwich board displaying Josh's photograph and O'Brien's details. She stood outside rush-hour train stations distributing flyers. She contacted the Metropolitan Police Commissioner and the National Crime Agency repeatedly, questioning how a fugitive could fly private and evade capture for years. In March 2019, Romanian police arrested O'Brien in Bucharest. He offered no resistance. Extradition proceedings began immediately. He was returned to the UK, tried at the Old Bailey in October 2019, and convicted of murder after 55 minutes of jury deliberation. The CCTV footage, released at the family's request to demonstrate knife crime reality, shows the attack in its entirety: the approach, the blade, the exit. O'Brien was sentenced to life with a minimum of 26 years. The judge described the killing as grotesque and savage. Tracy and Brooke Hansen established the Josh Hansen Trust to combat knife crime. Their victim impact statement noted, "If we can save just one life, keep one son by his mother's side, we will have made the world a more peaceful place." West Calder, West Lothian, Scotland. December 17, 2015. A dog walker on a woodland path near the B715, close to Five Sisters Business Park, discovered weathered remains: a skull, a portion of spine, fragments only. No clothing. No personal effects. Forensic analysis identified the remains through DNA as Martin Hamilton, 53, missing since April 16, 2015. The cause of death: blunt force trauma, sharp force injury to the skull, and a gunshot wound to the head. The location was isolated, known to few, suggesting deliberate placement by someone with local knowledge or guidance. Martin Hamilton was known as the Black Hill Butcher, a name earned through decades of violence in Glasgow and Edinburgh. Born in Maryhill, Glasgow, he was feared from adolescence. By 17, he carried weapons. By 1984, he was imprisoned for assault. He operated without crew allegiance, targeting vulnerable young men through drug debt, sexual violence, and torture. His methods included finger amputation, eye injury with spoons, burning, and sodomy at knife point. He survived 2 shootings outside his home in the early 1990s. In 1992, he was imprisoned for armed robbery of a building society. Upon release, he relocated to Edinburgh's West Side, establishing control over fragmented drug networks through identical methods: supply, debt, punishment, silence. By the late 1990s, police surveillance confirmed his activities but could not secure convictions. Witnesses withdrew. Victims disappeared. In 2000, a teenage couple survived a 10-hour ordeal of beating, cheek piercing, and boiling water torture in a Glasgow flat. They testified under Scotland's highest witness protection protocol. Other victims emerged: the man tortured with pliers, the man set on fire, the man sodomized at knife point with family threats. Hamilton was convicted of 11 charges including drug dealing, abduction, assault, and torture. The jury deadlocked on sexual offenses. He received life with a minimum of 9 years. The judge noted his sadistic pleasure in the infliction of pain. Hamilton served his minimum and was released in 2014 under license. He immediately resumed contact with underworld figures in Blackburn and Harthill, West Lothian. He was tasked with collecting £40,000 in cocaine debts for a Liverpool supply crew. The money disappeared. Sources indicate Hamilton kept it. intending to restart independent operations. On April 16, 2015, he was last seen near Great Western Road, Glasgow. He failed to appear at court for license violation on April 20th. A national appeal was issued. Crime Stoppers offered £2,000. BBC Crime Watch featured his photograph. No confirmed sightings followed. James Farrell, 53, a Liverpool associate with West Lothian connections and history of drug-related violence, was charged with Hamilton's murder in 2016. Intelligence indicated Farrell had been directed to recover the missing £40,000. Forensic searches, phone data, and movement records supported the charge. Farrell was accused of shooting Hamilton, inflicting sharp and blunt force trauma, and burying the body to destroy evidence. He was additionally charged with Class A drug offenses. Farrell was diagnosed with terminal cancer following arrest. He was released from custody in early 2017 and died weeks later. No trial occurred. No alternative suspects were charged. Hamilton's funeral, delayed 8 months for investigation, was attended by handfuls. The man who had terrorized 2 cities for decades was buried without eulogy, without headline, without conviction for his death. The £40,000 was never recovered. The Liverpool crew's subsequent activities are not publicly documented. For cases. For methodologies. The chemical dissolution of Liam Smith. The 2-hour torture of Thomas Campbell. The 10-second blade slash that killed Josh Hansen. The execution and woodland burial of Martin Hamilton. 3 reached courtroom resolution. 1 reached a shallow grave and a suspect who died before testimony. What connects them is not geography, but process. The belief that violence can be planned, executed, and survived. The belief that systems, legal, criminal, social, can be navigated, evaded, or outlasted. The belief that death is a transaction. This has been a Blackscreen Briefing. Sources include Greater Manchester Police case files, Manchester Crown Court sentencing remarks, Old Bailey trial transcripts, and verified reporting from the BBC, Sky News, and the Manchester Evening News. If you have information regarding unsolved aspects of these cases, contact the appropriate regional police force or Crime Stoppers. I'm your narrator. Until the next briefing.